Today, I'm just going to roll on into the meeting if you all don't mind. So to start, I would like to introduce our functionaries for the day. These are the people that are going to keep us on our toes, make sure that we are dotting our I's and crossing our T's and all that good stuff too. So first on my list, I would like to introduce our visitor and eye counter, Miss Shantae Hardesty. Shantae, will you tell us what you're going to do today as eye counter?
Yeah, so I'm counting any filler words, right? Like so, for every person that talks.
Yes.
Okay, I got that.
Sounds
Anything
great.
else?
You got it.
Okay.
Let's give her a round of applause. Good job. Next on my list, I have, she's known as Rose Gold, but today she is known as Grammarian and Word of the Day Master. Her name is Jennifer Yancey. Miss Yancey, tell us what you got going on today.
So I'm counting any filler words, right? Like,
Oh, I'm hearing feedback.
Well, hold on one second, time out. Miss Chanita, if you can press mute on your YouTube. So for those of you who are not aware, we have a YouTube page. So you have to go on YouTube and look up Inspirational Speakers, and that is where you will be finding the replays of our meetings. Yes, thank you, Ms. Yancey. So go on your desktop, Ms. Chanita, and click mute on the actual YouTube page on that window, and that'll keep the feedback from happening. All right, and maybe mute yourself. For now. One second, time out. Ms. Chanita, if you can press mute on your YouTube. For those of you who are not aware, we have a YouTube page. So you have to go on YouTube and look up Inspiration. We'll give her a moment to get that together over there.
I just want to say emulate and have it counted twice.
Okay. On the actual YouTube page on that window. Or you can mute yourself, Miss Chanita. Can you mute yourself? Perfect. That works. All right. Now, the next person on my list. Let me see. Miss Yancey, did you get a chance to tell us what you had going on, or is that when the confusion began?
I did not.
Okay. Well, let's get it in there. Let's give her a round of applause and start it all over again. All right, take it away, Ms. Yancey.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm dual-headed today. I'm serving as your grammarian, just to make sure that no one really flubs the English language. And the word they are to emulate. Definition is that one. I don't know how to try to equal or imitate with effort, equal or surpass. Used in a sentence, some smaller cities now emulate the major capitals in their cultural offerings. I know a lot of you are very phenomenal speakers, something, of course, we would all like to emulate. That's all I have, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. So today I am going to make an attempt to emulate Marty and use the word emulate as many times as possible. And being that I am Toastmaster, I'll get to emulate away. All right, so are you all ready for some fun? Well, the fun cannot happen unless we keep time. And today we have the grand Miss Sheila Finn to keep time for us. Can you tell us a little bit more, Miss Sheila?
I'll be keeping time of all the speeches, all the table talk speeches, and I'll be keeping track of all the evaluation times. And at the end, I will give a report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next on my list, we've already did word master, so I will roll on to Mr. Nathan, who is our general evaluator. So what will you be evaluating, Mr. Roseanne?
Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster, Ms. Vice President Toastmaster. I will be evaluating the evaluators, making sure everybody's on track, make sure everything's positive. People have some good feedback so that they can learn from their mistakes as well as their what they've actually accomplished. I'll also work on the functionaries with the time and the grammarian at the end of the speeches as well. Thank you, Ms. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. We have two great speakers today that I'm excited about. And our first speaker is going to be the distinguished Toastmaster, Ms. Jennifer Costello. And she will be evaluated by Chanita Lynn, your friend. Ms. Chanita, can you tell us what we will be looking for today in Jennifer's speech?
Yes, Jennifer's speech, we're going to be looking for her crutch words, so, and her presence on screen. She's going to give us a speech about the Holocaust and two women who were pivotal in that movement.
Awesome. Thank you. So now we have none other than Miss Jennifer Costello with The Silent Heroes of the Holocaust. Jennifer, take it away.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. How many of you have heard about Oskar Schindler? Pretty much all of you have heard about Oskar Schindler. This man wasn't a very extraordinary man, has a little bit of a dark past, but he is probably the face of the people that you know who saved Jews during the Holocaust. That's the first person you automatically think of. While doing research for this speech, I discovered other phenomenal people out there, not just Oskar Schindler. I was watching a YouTube video that went over the top 10 heroes, savers of the Jews during the Holocaust. But I stumbled upon two very extraordinary women. Both of them, I've heard their stories, but was glad to have the chance to learn more about them and what caused them to do what they did. These two extraordinary ladies, most people have never heard about, most people have never seen in a movie, until one of them very recently, as well as the other one just recently as well. These two ladies are Corrie ten Boom from the Netherlands and Irina Sendler from Poland. Both of these women were extraordinary in saving the Jewish population in their areas. For Corrie ten Boom, she was extraordinary by saving almost 800 Jewish lives during the Holocaust. What she did was really amazing and very intricate. She grew up in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, or Holland, whichever you want to call it, on which day you want to call it which one. And when her family owned a watch shop, and in the watch shop above was their living, in the house was their living area. And they also owned the property next to their watch shop. And in there, because there's a gap, they were able to use these gaps in between the two buildings as hiding places for Jews. Anybody or resistance workers from the Netherlands, anybody who came to them, they would try to accommodate and hide so that the Nazis could not take them, whether they were resistant fighters or Jews. And the reason that Corrie ten Boom did this was her family, very, very Christian, had it in their minds that the Jews were the chosen people of God, and they were the true followers and believers, and they needed to help rescue the Jews so that their generation and their history could live on. They were also helpful to their family as well. So anytime any one of the Jews came to ask for help, they would take them in. And in their house, they would allow them to conduct their services, allow them to partake in their cultural, and the ten Boom family would also take part in the cultural experience. But if a Nazi was coming, or somebody who was affiliated with the Nazi Party or the German army, they actually had intricate systems in their house of sirens to help hide the Jews in those cracks and crevices and behind fake walls so that they could take and house them and keep them safe. During the time, unfortunately, somebody did rat out Corrie ten Boom to the Nazi Party. She was taken to Ravensbrück concentration camp because of what she was doing of the hiding of the Jews. While she was there, she was actually set to be executed within 1 week before she was let go. When she was let go, she was let go on a clinical error. And she found out after years later that when she signed documents for transfer and release, that they were not meant for her. She was actually supposed to go to the gas chamber later that week and die. She did not. She went on after her life to continue to do help the Jews as they recovered from the Holocaust, reconnecting families with one another, helping the mentally disabled, helping everybody that they wanted to rescue. She continued to do that to her last moment of her life. The next one is Irina Sendler, and she was an extraordinary lady as well. She helped rescue children from the Warsaw Ghetto in the 1930s. And how she did this was she was a social worker in Warsaw and was able to sneak into the ghetto as a nurse or as a plumber or any occupation that could get her into the ghetto. And she would go to families and ask the parents or grandparents if she could take their children out and rescue them, in hopes that if they did not go to the concentration camp, or if they did go to a concentration camp, that they could be reunited at the end of the Holocaust. She was able to rescue 2,500 children, allowing generations to continue on. She kept all of the names of these children in a jar by a tree by her house. And it had both their Polish name, not their Polish name, I apologize, their Jewish name, their Christian name, their parents, and date of birth, so that after the war was over, she could reunite them. Unfortunately, most people she could not reunite with their families because most of them had died in Auschwitz or other concentration camps. But because of her extraordinary act of heroism to save those 2,500 children, there are more generations living on today because of her. Both of these women are, as I said, extraordinary. They are women that I would want to emulate. They never saw themselves as heroes. They never saw themselves as righteous or anything. They just saw what they needed to do to help. And one quote that I found through the Talmud, which is a book, religious book for Jews, it says, "He who saves one life saves the entire world." And to me, both Corrie ten Boom and Irina Sandler are those women. They saved one life and they saved the world. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Madam Timer, may we have 1 minute on the clock? Take this time to send Miss Jennifer a quick note to let her know maybe something that you enjoyed about her speech, something that can challenge her to do better in the future, or just, hey. So if you have already sent your message, I would like for you to unmute yourself really quick and see if you know the response to this. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it and your face is really showing, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. All right. Thank you so much for indulging in my little happy cheer. I know somebody's probably around you like, is that really what y'all do at Toastmasters? Yes, this is really what we do at Toastmasters, because we don't just work on our professional lives, we work on our personal lives too. And in our personal and professional lives, we need more happiness, right? If you agree, thumbs up. If you agree, we need more happiness in the world. All right, that means I'm on the right track. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, get yourselves ready, is going to be Mr. Quentin Blanche. And his evaluator is Mr. Quentin Blanche, also known as Marty Scholes. Show him a round of applause.
Thank you so much. We're in for a real treat here. Every time Quentin speaks, I look for something I can emulate. He's just really, really gifted. So watch for that. And this is a particularly difficult speech. This is inspire your audience. What he's going to try to do here is inspire us in a way and move us emotionally. I look forward to hearing it.
Awesome. Thank you, Marty. So with the title of his speech, Know Your Worth, we better put on our seatbelts, because I have a feeling that our spirits are going to be uplifted and our minds are going to be challenged. So get ready and show your hands for Mr. Quentin Blanche.
I'm having audio trouble on my end. And Mimi's muted.
Okay, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
No, it's like distorted.
Maybe this 1 sec. 1 sec.
Okay. This is the best part of Toastmasters. You get to work out all these kinks and bugs instead of being embarrassed in a real meeting. I'm telling you, it's the best thing ever. We're patient people. We got time. If you're happy and you know it, snap your fingers. If you're happy and you know it, snap your fingers. If you're happy and you know it and your face is really showing it. If you're happy and you know it, snap your fingers.
Hear me now.
Okay, give us a run.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. All right. Miss Timer, are you ready? Okay, we're going to start you all over and I'll pass this over again. So unmute yourself, Mr. Quentin Blanche.
It was a fairly average, typical day in Canada. Light overcast, a little bit of rain. And a gentleman named Andrew comes home and he got devastating news that day that he had lost his job. And his girlfriend's there with him. He starts explaining to her that he just lost his job and they get in an argument. So his girlfriend decides to leave him. Tough day. So Andrew sits down in his chair. He starts to think to himself, man, what the hell am I going to do with my life? And he gets an idea. And he decides, you know what? I'm going to rob a bank. And he proceeds to get his gear together, grab his gun, drives to the bank, holds up the front desk, takes the money, and leaves the bank with $6,000. And personally, I said, does stuff like this happen in Canada? This don't happen in Canada. But beside the point, cops were able to find his trail. They go take Andrew, put him in prison, and then he's got court with the judge. Here comes the day with the judge. He's in front of the judge, and the judge asks him, excuse me, Andrew, why did you commit this crime? And he says, well, man, I just lost my job. My girl left me, and I just wasn't thinking. And the judge said, well, what's interesting, Andrew, you got the bank for $6,000, but little did you know the gun that you used to rob the bank is actually an antique. And if you were to sell that gun, it would have been worth over $100,000. And Andrew thought, man, I just didn't know what I had and what it was worth. Let me ask you a question. Do you know your worth? Do you know to a T just exactly what you're worth? Andrew didn't realize that he had something that was worth $100,000 in his own hands. I believe that people are the same. Sometimes we don't realize just how valuable we are. But in Toastmasters, by showing up and continuing to show up and continuing to challenge yourself, you build your worth and you become a person of value. And then we believe that you become someone who can be emulated by others. For me, man, life can be tough, can it not? And I've grown up always wanting to be the best I can be. I played sports. I'm not the tallest guy, so I had to be quicker. I had to be faster. I had to be able to shoot. I had to be able to move. And people always doubted me because of my size. So I had to have that belief. And then my parents were always instilling in me, you can do anything you set your mind to. It wasn't that I didn't have the belief in myself. I didn't come into the business world and entrepreneurship with belief in myself. Fortunately for me, 9 years ago, I took a trip that would transform my life. It was a road trip to Portland, Oregon for a weekend event. I'm with a couple good friends, and that was one of the most beautiful drives of my life. You start getting into Portland, you're coming down the highway, and you can see the rivers, and you can see the meadows, and it's just beautiful. It's green, it's lush. And we're there for this weekend event that was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, the event was amazing. I met incredible people, all dressed up in business suits and people of posture and status and success. It was inspirational, to say the least. And that weekend, I had a defining moment. The event's over. We're at a restaurant. I'm meeting with my friends. And then my friend ushers over this tall gentleman. He was very tall, had clean, crisp black hair that was pristine, a gray suit on and a tie. And he was probably 6'6", 6'7". And he came over and he introduced himself to me and he said, "What's your name? Where are you from? Why are you here? What's your goal?" And he just started to really conversate with me. And we walked outside and we talked for a little bit. And then he come up to me and he put his arm around me and he said, "Q, I just want you to know, to be successful, it's about relationships. It's about believing in yourself. And when I look at you and the personality that you have, I think I see someone special." On this Zoom, I believe I see people who are special. And I just needed someone to tell me that. And since that day, I've gone forward knowing that I am worthy. Let me ask you again, do you know your worth? Here's an interesting situation. My father, healthy man, random heart attack 6 years ago that led to a heart transplant procedure. And it was successful. He's alive today. Out-of-pocket expenses without insurance for his heart transplant, for him to be alive, right now is over $6 million. Is your life worth $6 million? I would say and bet it's probably even worth more, because humans, we are invaluable. We have gifts, we have talents, we have these abilities to impact somebody else's life. But the first thing you must do in order to make change is you have to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in what you're worth and who you can become. I would like to give you 3 ways to build your worth. Number 1, we've got to help you gain confidence. How do you gain confidence? You do the things you say you're gonna do. So if you woke up this morning and said, "I'm gonna run for 20 minutes, you run for 20 minutes, you'll build confidence. You say, "I should sign up for that role in Toastmasters because it'll help in my confidence." You sign up, you show up, you build your confidence. Second thing I recommend, you must evolve as a person. When that gentleman put his arm around me, I felt that, man, this guy's huge. I feel like a chocolate teddy bear in this man's arms. I feel safe. And I just knew that he was helping me to see how I could evolve. I could become someone better. I can grow. I can change. Some people, honestly, have not changed since Richard Nixon was in office. And you can't have a new life and different opportunities if you don't have different thoughts, different actions. You're a new person, you evolve. And number 3, you must challenge yourself. You have to challenge yourself. You've got to stretch yourself. You've got to grow. You've got to take a risk on yourself. And through doing those three things, gaining confidence, evolving, and challenging yourself, you'll start to build that belief in your worth, in yourself, and your value. So today, my hope is that you can be riveted and moved to make a change because you're worth it. When you look in the mirror today, say I'm successful, I'm fantastic. Tell yourself I'm good looking, even if you're ugly. It's important for your worth. So my friends, I hope today that I can be your friend that puts their arm around you and can tell you that I know that I see your worth. The question is, do you? Mr. Toastmaster.
I'm not a mister, but I'll take over the thing.
Mrs. Toastmaster. Miss Toastmaster. Dope Toastmaster.
I know I'm an alpha female and all, but sheesh, no. Well, thank you so very much, Q, for that wonderful presentation. We're going to get a minute on the clock so you can send him some notes. Send him the word of the day. I heard the new word of the day is chocolate teddy bear, so I got to slide that one in there too. So send the chocolate teddy bear a note. All right. So if you're happy and you know it, thumbs up in the air. If you're happy and you know it, thumbs up in the air. If you're happy and you know it and your face is really showing, if you're happy and you know it, thumbs up in the air. I don't see thumbs. So Marty's not happy. Vlad, are you happy? I don't see your thumbs. Don't be trying to steal my happiness now. Okay, so now this is where all the happy stuff happens at Table Topics. I'm excited about today's Table Topic master. He's also a brewmaster. It is none other than Mr. Eric Merrow. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Got some interesting things. Sandy and I picked up this dinner party game called Table Topics, nonetheless. Kind of a cool game. Has all these cards in there with topics on it that you can just pull out of the box and randomly ask questions. So it's kind of fun. So we're going to go off of that today. My first victim today is going to be Shantae. Are life experiences meant to be, or are we in charge of our own destiny? Shantae.
Just so long as it's something not too deep, you know? Let me go ahead and get prepared with my clock. And it's 1 to 3 minutes. Is that right, friends? 1 to 2 minutes. Thank you. Cool.
Just keep an eye on Sheila. Sheila will show you when.
I thought it was 20 to 30 minutes.
Good, then I've got just enough time. That's fantastic. So repeat the question to me one more time, my dear, so that I know I'm hitting it.
Are life experiences meant to be, or are we in charge of our own destiny?
Okay. So thanks for that question, Marty. I appreciate it. And that's something that I give myself more than my fair amount of time thinking about, I'd say. It seems to me that it's a combination of two. The law of attraction is so powerful, and it's something that by the very virtue of our thoughts, I believe we actually call things to ourselves. That lends the question, however, what about our genetics, our environment, our language, our country, our freedoms? If I was a woman 100 years ago, would I have the opportunity to be doing this now? Absolutely not. So the question you present isn't just interesting, but it's near and dear to my heart. And what I have found that I believe is that we're pure energy that happens to be right now in this physical form. All of those experiences culminate into this overall existence that we can't see, the whole thing, because I only have a linear idea of who I am based on my experience in this life, the folks that I see that I choose to emulate, the education that I may or may not be able to take part in, and those experiences that are driven by my choices. Fate seems to suggest that it is what it is. But what if it is what it is, and that has something to do with how we grow and challenge ourselves in our lives? It gives me a lot more to think about. 2 minutes is not enough time to discuss this topic, but I hope we can all sit down with some coffee sometime and delve into this further. Thanks.
Thank you, Shantae. Next, I'm going to call on Vlad. Vlad, if you could compete in any Olympic event, which would it be?
Well, I guess I would have to say tennis. And it's tennis for two reasons. First of all, tennis was one of my first, one of the sports that I first got in love with, because when I was young, we had a few Romanians that were getting great results as tennis players when I was a kid. So I wanted to be a tennis player as well, like any child. You see something on TV, everybody makes a big fuss about it. We were a communist country. We didn't see too many things on TV. But when these guys were appearing, they were smashing everybody else in the world. And hey ho, Romania is great. Then I said, oh yeah, I want to be like that. So that's one thing. But another reason is that the poor people doing Olympic sports, they get to be the best in the world, and yet they don't make too much money because their sports are not really well paid, even if they are champions, or maybe they're not champions, but maybe they're top 10. We have examples of such people that made it to the Olympics in our country, and they can barely make a living. And yet they were on the greatest stages on our planet, and they were acclaimed by everybody. But people don't go to watch those sports, so they don't have that much money. However, there is an exception, and the exception is tennis. So if you're good at the Olympics as a tennis player, you'll be good in the professional tennis circuit and you'll be rich. So this is my second reason. Thank you.
Thank you, Vlad. Let's see. Next person I'm going to call on is Jennifer Yancey. If you didn't have to work, would you?
If I didn't have to work, would I? It all depends on the definition of work. Because if you're familiar with the saying, if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life. But given a choice, I know what it is to work, to have to work. I worked for Uncle Sam for 20 years. I worked as a school teacher very briefly. And now I'm in a business where I make my own hours. I choose the days in which I work when I don't work. So to answer your question, if I didn't have to work, no, I wouldn't. Disclosure, I'm 2 years shy of 50. And I'm at that point in my life where I no longer want to work for anyone. I don't want to give time where the value is not reciprocated for that amount of time. I want to enjoy every minute of every second of every day of my life, and hopefully to be a benefit to those around me when I do whatever it is that I do or I'm not doing. So no, if I had the choice, I would not work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. if everybody could send me your vote on who you think was the best table topic speaker in the chat bar, that'd be awesome. So I can announce at the end who the best was. I return this meeting back to our Toastmaster, Mimi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Table Topics Master. Those were some great questions. I was over here thinking like, as if you were gonna call me like, oh my gosh, please don't. These were tough ones. But they were tough, thought-provoking questions. So thank you so much for that. We always need this part because at what point of the day do you not have to do extemporaneous speaking? I don't know. You have to do it all day, whether it's at home, at work, or at the grocery store. So this is definitely a time for us to practice that and get better and better. And then we'll just be sashaying around with conversation and everybody wants to talk to us. Now, I am excited to pass this meeting over to our general evaluator, Mr. Nathan Roseanne. Give him a round of applause. Take it over, Nathan.
Thank you, Mrs. Toastmaster. So this is my first time being a general evaluator, so if I mess up, just thank you for the grace. So first evaluation we have is for Jennifer. She spoke about the Holocaust women and the movement that they played. We're going to hear from the evaluator of that, looks like Shanita. All right, Shanita, if we could hear that evaluation, thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, Jennifer, instead of using your crutch word, you paused when transitioning to your next thought. So I think that really helped you. I didn't hear so at all. And your research and your presence were evidence because you presented us with two women that you thought we had not heard of. So I was really looking forward to hearing about someone that I had never heard about. So that really held my attention. But when you mentioned the clerical error, I remembered I had heard about these women before, but the details that you provided, they still held my interest. Your speech really held my interest with all the details that you provided. Being online is different from speaking in person. And since social distancing might go on for a while, this is a great practice toward you becoming a Zoom call expert. Back to you, Toastmaster, or general evaluator.
Thank you, Shanette. I don't know my title either, so it's okay. That was excellent.
Name, Shanita.
Shanita, did I not say that? I'm sorry. Again, thank you for your grace. So, Shanita, thanks. The next we're going to hear from is Marty. He's going to evaluate Quentin's speech on Know Your Worth. Marty, take it away.
Thank you very much. Quentin, you are very, very tough to evaluate, and I'll tell you why. You're very polished in so many ways. So picking out the positive things is difficult because there's so many to choose from. And picking out the areas of improvement is difficult because it really is splitting hairs. Even so, I do want to share with you some feedback along those lines. First, let's go through some of the beginning. You're always well-dressed. My hat is off to you. I should do that more often than I do. But really, that's great. That's awesome. Your intro was just fantastic. You start off with a visual about a typical Canadian day, talked about the weather. I was right there with you. And you followed a great structure. You talked about Andrew. You segued into Do You Know Your Worth? You talked about the event and the transformation. I would have preferred to have heard a little bit more about the transformation and a little more detail there. You related it here to the audience. You talked about the heart transplant. You gave us 3 steps. To build confidence, you must evolve, challenge yourself. I mean, all of this was great. You stayed focused on the camera. You were, you had so much passion, enthusiasm, and that came right through. A great little snippet here. Say to yourself, I'm good looking, even if you're ugly. I thought that was awesome. People were nodding and watching. I was looking around, watching everybody, and there was a lot of this going on as you were talking. That said, This was inspiring. So if that was your objective, you accomplished it. But it didn't grip me at my gut. And I'll tell you why. So again, you hit all the check boxes there. Fantastic. One thing a couple minor things I would suggest. One is verify your audio before speaking. I know that's tough in Zoom. This is just a thing. I get it. At the end, also give us a call to action. I wasn't sure where we're supposed to go with this other than to feel good about it. Maybe that was the objective. But here's the big one. If you want to take it up to the next level, do this. Give us some visceral descriptions. Take me with you emotionally wherever you are. Tell us what you're experiencing. Make it real for us. Just like you did on that Canadian Day visually, describing the weather, bring us there emotionally. And you skirted on the edge of it. You said you felt like a chocolate teddy bear in his arms. That was a great, great start. But take us there where you are emotionally. Say, look, I was scared, and get us really to feel that and get us to take the transformation with you. This was a great speech. You accomplished what you set out to do. The way you could crank it up a little bit is to, well, a lot bit, honestly, is really to get us to feel those emotions with you. Take us there emotionally. That way, I'm sorry, this is cheesy, but I have to do it. That way we don't have to emulate feeling that way. We can really feel the emotions with you. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much for that, Marty. So a couple things I would like to just highlight with Jennifer, your Holocaust woman. First off, that was a great evaluation from Chinita. And, you know, I hope that gives you some pointers in where to go next with that. One thing that was also really inspiring was how you kept us included in the whole storyline, because just like Shanita said, she didn't know that she knew the stories until later. So it was kind of like a punch and everything. I knew the stories. I think I actually watched the same YouTube video you did about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it was kind of fresh in my mind, and I was still enthralled. I was still like, yeah, you know, and you really pointed out some really great points. And there's a lot of information. So for you to break it down in that time frame, that was fantastic. Q, with that know your worth, it was fantastic. The one thing that Marty kind of touched on that I kind of noticed, and I don't know if anybody else did, is the story of Andrew in Canada. You could kind of tell that was a story, and your verbiage and your posture was different and everything until your personal story. And so there was a little bit of a disconnect there. I don't know if that's a good thing, first time being in a general evaluator, but it was a thing. So that was fantastic. Marty, excellent evaluation. Shanita, absolutely fantastic. You guys are always so great at really rewarding the good behaviors and giving a little bit more pointers as to for that growth. So thank you for that. So for the functionaries, one look at Sheila for the time. How did everybody do, Sheila?
Very well. We were very verbose today. I have Chinita's speech at, oh, I'm sorry. First speaker was Jennifer Costello. Her time was 7 minutes and 33 seconds, so just a little bit over. Second speaker, Q, you were at 7 minutes and 44 seconds. The Chinita evaluator was only at a minute 12 for Jennifer's speech. And Marty, you were at 3 minutes and 11 seconds in evaluating Q's speech. Our table topics, Shantae was a minute 57, right on. Vlad, you were a minute 52. And Jennifer Yancey, you were at a minute 14. And that's what I have, my report. Thank you, back to you.
Excellent, thank you, Sheila. All right, for our all counter, Shantae, our visitor. So how did we do with our ahs and our filler words?
Well, since we were dealing with such professional speakers today, I didn't pick up on a 1. I did notice what Shanita had mentioned with Jennifer with the pausing, which I think I tried to do in my table topics as well, because I had 4 ahs or ums the one time that I had spoken and introduced myself with the icebreaker. So I hope I caught what was there. I didn't hear 1. Everybody did a great job. You guys are fabulous.
Thank you, Shantae. All right, and then our grammarian, Jennifer. It sounded like you had quite a few to hear from. I know I was trying to wave off to help out and everything. There was a bunch, it's a great way to emulate on the best Toastmasters here. So how many did we have for that?
I didn't really catch any grammatical errors. Quite a few of you were very eloquent in your speech. I really enjoyed listening to everyone talk, whether you had a speaking role or not. As far as word of the day, let's see. Nathan, you just used it, so good on you. I used it once. Marty used it 3 times. Wow, that's kind of a low number for you, Marty. I'm surprised. Let's see. Hugh, you used it once. Jennifer, you used it once. And Mimi, you used it 5 times. And that's including what I saw in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Does that include Marty's echo that he was trying to go for on that first time? So that might be from 3 to 6.
That. Sorry, Marty, I missed that.
I got you, Marty. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that. So we've got some great evaluations. I hope everybody's got a little bit more something to exercise on their next speech or on their next leadership role. So I'm going to hand it back to Ms. Toastmaster. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Mr. General Evaluator. You did a phenomenal job for a first timer. Give him another round of applause for that. Yes. Don't be afraid to sign up and do it again. All right, so this has been a great meeting. We started on time and we're ending on time. And I just have a few announcements. So first announcement is a reminder that TLI is July 11th and July 18th from 8 a.m. to 1. Let me go ahead and put a link in there in case you have not signed up. Please do it. If you're an officer, we definitely expect for you to be there. If you are not an officer, feel free to stop on in and see what it's all about. Let's see here. Bear with me. Okay. If you click on that link, that will take you to the page so you can register for either one. You do not have to attend both. It's more of a one or the other thing, unless you just feeling like, extra networky or ready to learn a lot. Go ahead and sign up for both of them. I won't discourage that. The next thing on the list is that if you are an officer, you're also expected to be at our next Inspirational Speakers, boom, boom, clap, officers meeting, which is July 16th. That is a Thursday at noon. So mark that on your calendars. If you're interested in what we talk about in officers meeting, mark that on your calendars and come check us out. And you will have to get the link from our Sergeant of Arms. And I think she has already prepared that meeting for us, and that will be going out soon. If you're on social media, if you're on Facebook, show me a hand. Okay, so if your hand is up right now, make sure that you go to Facebook and look up Inspirational Speakers, boom, boom, clap, minus the boom, boom, clap, and hit the like button to keep up with what we have going on. Feel free to post. Feel free to share what you have going on. If you practice a little something, if you catch one of us out dancing, I caught Chug. Y'all don't know who Chug is. He's an old member. I caught him out dancing one time, and I posted that on our social media, because we don't just speak, we have fun too, at least at this club. The last thing on my announcements, oh wait, how many of you are on Instagram? Show of hands. Any Instagrammers? If you're on Instagram, follow us at Inspirational Speakers. We have a new guy that's taking over the PR. As soon as he gets his hands on all that, I'll be expecting you all to support him in his new role. And the last thing is YouTube, of course. Like I said, if you are wondering where you can see the replay of today's meeting or any meeting, you can go to our YouTube page, which is, again, Inspirational Speakers. Just look us up. We're there. If you have trouble finding any of these links, reach out to myself, reach out to Nathan. He'll have the answers soon. Or reach out to our past BPPR, which is Miss Chanita Lynn, and we'll get you there. But we need to connect online, connect in our social spaces as well, besides just this Wednesday meet and greet. Does anybody else have any announcements on your list? Anything going on in your world, going on in your business that we should know about? Any updates? Going once, going twice. I'm done. All right. Yes, go for it, Eric. What you got?
Everybody got a vote. So that means it's a three-way tie.
Oh my gosh.
So I declare them all the winners.
All right.
Topics.
Well, give a round of applause to all of our great tabletop winners. That means you need to get in the runnings again next week and see if you can get the crown. Everybody loves to win at some point in time, and all you have to do is just keep working on your table topics game 1% better. If you listen to my show, you know I'm always talking about 1% better. We don't have to make overnight changes, just being 1% better. And every time we show up to one of these meetings, I believe that we all become 1% better in our personal and professional lives. So keep coming back. I hope to see you next week. But before I hang up, I need to know who's going to do what next week. So let me pull up Easy Speak and see. I know someone has signed up for something, so I don't want to fill a role that has already been fulfilled. Yes, so much here. Okay. And of course it didn't take it.
Yeah, General Val.
Who is that? It's a little distorted and I'm not looking at the screen. Huh? I don't know what's happening about
I'll do General Val next week.
All right, General Val is going to be Mr. Q. Thank you.
I was going to speak for you, Q, just like old times.
So Marty, what are you going to do next week?
Whatever you need, just let me know. Except
Okay.
Toastmasters.
Except for Toastmaster. All right.
I think that nominates him for Toastmaster.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I knew this was coming.
See,
Make
it's
breaking
like
up. Is
it's
your
out there.
microphone okay? Hello?
Mimi, I would like to take the role of evaluator if we have any speakers.
Okay. Well, I promise we'll have some speakers. According to our calendar, next week is supposed to be a speak-a-thon or speech-a-thon. So let's see if we can get some speakers in the box.
I would like to speak.
All right. So I got Eric. Who else is going to jump in?
I'll take second.
All
Nathan.
right.
I can be table topics master.
You know what?
Marty's Toastmaster.
I'm going to get a dunce hat and ship it to you. And then you got to go sit in the corner with it on. Put you in timeout. All right. So we got Toastmaster is going to be Marty. General Evaluator is going to be Q. Do we need a General Evaluator? Somebody help me out. That's a seasoned Toastmaster.
Maybe not. Depends on the timing of the meeting.
Okay.
Sure.
But we do need evaluators for some of our speakers. So who?
I'll be an
would like-
evaluator if you need me to be an evaluator.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put you in for that. And in the case that we have time, we'll do an overall evaluation, but there's not a spot to put in a general evaluator. So I'm going to put you in as evaluator number 1, Q. And eval 1. All right, Jennifer and Jennifer, will you ladies be here next week?
I will be, and I will be Nathan's evaluator.
Perfect.
I'd put in the chat. I'm not sure if I'll be available next week.
Okay, I'm not on the Zoom screen right now, so y'all got to kind of talk to me because I'm looking at Easy Speak. Okay, so I am needing a grammarian for next week. Don't everybody jump in at one
I'll
time.
do it.
Okay, thank you, Miss Janita. All right. Let's see, we need a timer. That's very important.
I can help.
All right. So Miss Shantae. It's going to be our timer. And I believe I need another evaluator.
Janet's raising her hand.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Maybe I'll speak. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, unmute yourselves. All right. Now, if you're happy, you know it, say Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
Happy, you know it, say Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
Happy and you know it, and your face is really showing. If you're happy and you know it, say Toastmasters.
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 And this meeting is over. It's adjourned. Have a great day.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.